Welcome to another episode of Unlock the Bible with Pastor Thanos, which we have quiet conversations about faith, the human mind, and the struggles we often carry silently. My name is Pastor Thanos, and these conversations are born from something I see again and again in real life. I'm doing the podcast personally. I'm not a professional, so you can hear different sounds, chairs, squeaking and everything. But it's just me. Your body twitches, just a small sensation, but suddenly your mind is no longer where you are. It is somewhere else. It's imagining doctors' offices, hospital corridors, a future that hasn't happened yet. Health anxiety can take one small signal in your body and turn it into a catastrophe. And it can do that in less than 30 seconds. And if you experience that, you know something important, that it does not feel irrational and it feels completely real. So I have been to these conversations. I have been with people sitting across the table, people in quiet conversations after church, people who look calm on the outside, but inside their mind is racing. Sometimes I'm one of them. And one of the most common struggles people carry quietly is health anxiety, the fear that something is wrong with the body, the fear that something serious has been missed, the fear that life could suddenly change. And today we're going to talk honestly about why this fear feels so powerful. And I'm also speaking from personal experience. So health anxiety usually begins with something very ordinary, a strange heartbeat, a pressure in the chest, a headache that lingers longer than usual. The body sends a signal, which that part is normal, to be honest. But then the mind begins to interpret the signal, and interpretation is powerful, as you know. Your body says something is happening, and your mind says something terrible is happening. And once the mind attaches catastrophe to the sensation, the alarm system switches on. Your breathing changes, your muscles tighten, your awareness of the body becomes intense, and you start scanning. You notice every heartbeat, you notice every breath, every sensation, and the more attention you give your body, the louder the body seems to become. That is one of the strange truths about anxiety. Attention amplifies sensation. The more closely we monitor the body, the more intense it begins to feel, which, in fact, makes the fear feel justified. But let me say something important here. I mean, if you struggle with health anxiety, you're not foolish. It just simply means that your nervous system is doing exactly what was designed to do. It is trying to protect you. The problem is not the alarm. The problem is when the alarm stays on. It's like a smoke detector that rings when toast burns, loud, convincing, but not pointing to real danger. And underneath health anxiety is something even deeper. It is not only fear of illness, it is fear of uncertainty. We want to believe we are in control. We plan our careers, we plan our finances, we plan our future, we plan our spouses, but the body reminds us of something uncomfortable. We are fragile. One strange sensation reminds us that our lives are not entirely under our control. And the realization can feel deeply unsettling. Now let me say something very honest. The Christians do not escape this fear. Christians feel anxiety too. Christians sit in waiting rooms, yes, in hospitals. Christians notice strange sensations and feel their stomach drop. Faith does not remove the nervous system, but it does shift the foundation beneath the fear. So if your sense of safety depends entirely on your physical health, then every sensation becomes a threat to your world. Because if the body fails, everything feels like it collapses. But the Christian story introduces another foundation. It says that your body matters deeply, but your life is more than your biology. You're more than your symptoms, you're more than your medical chart, you're more than your nervous system. Your life is held by something deeper than physical stability. And that does not eliminate anxiety overnight, but it changes how fear is carried. Someone without Christ may feel if my body fails, everything collapses. Someone in Christ may feel my body may fail, but I am still held. That difference is not about superiority, it's about anchoring. And anchoring changes how fear moves through the mind. Health anxiety constantly asks the questions. Am I safe? But faith invites another question. What does safe really mean? If safety means perfect health forever, then none of us are ever truly safe. But if safety means being known, sustained, and held beyond your physical fragility, then fear no longer has the final word. The Christian message does not promise a life without suffering, but it promises that suffering does not define the final story. And that perspective can soften even very deep anxiety. So what do we do when the mind begins scanning the body? First, pause. Instead of immediately assuming something terrible is happening, simply notice the anxiety itself. You might say quietly, my anxiety is activated right now, which, by the way, happens today to me. That small sentence creates space. Second, bring your attention back to the present moment. Feel your feet on the floor. Look around the room. When it did hit me today, I start praying. We need to understand that health anxiety often pulls us into imagined futures. Grounding brings us back into present. And that takes practice, my friends. Third, if you're a Christian, allow your faith to speak gently into the moment, which I did. You might remind yourself, my body's fragile, but God already knows that. You might say, my fear is real, but does not control my life. You might say, my field is not held together only by my physical condition. Now, these words may not remove anxiety instantly, but they begin to soften its grip. If you struggle with health anxiety, hear this clearly. You're not weak. You're not dramatic. You're human. You're not less. You have a value. A human being with a body that sends signals and a mind that wants certainty in a world that offers none. Learning to live with thy certainty, it is not failure, it is courage, my friend. And every moment of calm is progress. Before we finish, let me briefly introduce myself again. My name is Pastor Thanos, and this podcast is called Unlock the Bible. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe so you don't miss future conversations. You can find Unlock the Bible on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and other major podcast platforms. Also, if you know someone who struggles with anxiety or health worries, you might consider sharing this episode with them. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer basically another person is simply the reminder that they are not alone. And boy, oh boy, we tend to forget that. Until next time, remember this. Your body may feel fragile. Your mind may feel restless. But calm is possible, and you do not have to walk this path alone. May the good Lord strengthen you and keep you and make his face to shine upon you and give you peace. Until next episode, stay blessed and keep calm. Bye-bye for now.